Good morning. I am Dr. Sanjay Jain, Associate Professor in Mathematics at SPC Government College Ajmer. Today we are taking second chapter of continuum mechanics. We already given two lecture on continuum mechanics second chapter. This is our third lecture. In earlier lecture we have defined what is continuum approach and what is body and surface forces. Today we are discussing stress, vector, and tensor. So we start component of stress or stress tensor. In the earlier lecture, we have defined the stress vector sigma I at the point P in a continuum corresponding to the direction Ni is defined as sigma I equals to dFi over ds, where Fi is a force. Okay, this sigma I is a stress vector, and component of this sigma I we have studied now. Consider an arbitrary point P in a continuum and recall the definition of stress vector which we explained here just now, corresponding to the unit normal Ni. Take Ni in the direction of the positive yi direction. This is an important positive yi direction which orient the surface element normal to the y1 axis. The stress vector on this element is in general in some arbitrary direction, but it may be resolved into two parts, that is called normal and shearing components. Every vector or tensor or force, when we resolve by taking in a direction in two components, here the stress vector components are normal and shearing components. The shearing component lying in ds then may resolve into two components. This is the diagram where we consider a point P, okay, components along the y direction. The net result is the stress vector has been resolved into components sigma ij. Sigma is in a vector and resolved components are sigma ij, okay, along the yi axis as shown in the figure given here. We can visualize two other stress vector. Actually, if I take y1 direction, then the resolved component is sigma 1j. If we take y2 direction, that is sigma 2j. And if we resolve according y3 direction, then sigma 3j. Okay, in the acting as a surface element. So total component of sigma ij, when I and j varying from 1 to 3, we got 9 components of sigma ij. Sigma 1 1, sigma 1 2, sigma 1 3, and sigma 2 1, 2 2, and 2 3, sigma 3 1, sigma 3 2, and 3 3. So total 9 components, and total 9 components, they are called component of stress or the stress tensor because they have two indices I and j at a point P. What we have written in a red letters, NS means normal stress, SS shearing stress, okay. So when we take in according to y1 axis, only one y11 is normal stress, sigma 1 2 is a shearing stress, sigma 1 3 is a shearing stress. So similarly, if I take direction y2, then sigma 2 1 is a shearing stress, sigma 2 2 is a normal stress, and sigma 2 3 is a shearing stress. If we consider y3 axis, then sigma 3 1 and 3 2 are shearing stress and 3 3 are normal stress. So out of the total 9 components denoted by sigma ij, they sigma 1 1, sigma 2 2 and sigma 3 3 are normal stresses, and the remaining 6 are called shearing stresses. While some of the small rectangular parallelepiped in the diagram given at point P, these components are positive when they act in the positive direction of the axis of the faces furthest from the origin O. Okay, so this is the main definition of normal and shearing stress. Having introduced the stress component, it is not difficult to show that stress vector sigma I acting across a surface element oriented in an arbitrary direction by Ni is related to the component of stress sigma ij. If I have taken Ni is N1, then Y1 direction, N2, then Y2, and N3, then Y3 direction. To do this, consider a small but finite tetrahedron at a point P bounded by these coordinate planes and its sloping faces normal to Ni as shown in the above figure. Next figure, introduce local Cartesian axis with origin P, and let we have defined here some components which are very useful to derive the formula. Sigma I, first stress vector at P acting across a small surface element whose normal to is Ni. Sigma I is a component of stress at P having in two direction. They are normal and shearing stress. According to that, Fi body force per unit mass at P, H is altitude of the tetrahedron measured from the sloping faces that is normal to the unit vector Ni. Rho is in a density at P. So these we have defined components and some measurements which is required to derive the formula. You can see this tetrahedron. P is the point in the red N circle, and P1, P2, P3 are N circle in a blue ink. At P, the component vector stress vector is sigma I, and small change we get in a sigma I and plus sigma I cap, the average in change after P to some slant distance. Okay, so some again we define to the slope faces. Sigma I plus sigma I cap is nothing but average stress vector across the sloping surface P1, P2, P3 on the tetrahedron. Sigma 1I and sigma 1I cap. Similarly, sigma 2I and 2I cap, and similarly sigma 3I and sigma 3I cap. These are average stress vector across the surface. If I take sigma 1I, then it is P, P2, P3. If I take sigma 2I and 2I cap, then P, P3, P1. If I take sigma 3I and sigma 3I cap, it becomes surface P, P1, P2. Means whatever we have taken sigma components that we remove from the surface because it is in a normal vector. So then Fi plus Fi cap is nothing but average body force per unit mass acting on the tetrahedron, and rho plus rho cap are the average density of the tetrahedron when the sloping faces we have considered. So these are the final entity which we without averaging we have defined in the earlier page, and with averages we define here, where the area of the sloping surface P1, P2, P3 is A. Let's suppose it is area is denoted by A of the sloping surface P1, P2, P3, and limit s tending to 0. That is very important. H is an altitude, so limit s tending to 0, sigma cap, sigma ij, fi cap, and finally rho density. All components when s tending to 0, average components becomes 0. S tending to 0 means altitude tends to 0 and p1 p2 p3 approaching to p. In such case, when approaching to P means distances becomes 0. So finally area becomes 0 if it is and have and no distance between the points. So limiting s tending to 0, sigma I is a cap, fi cap and rho cap, all average quantity becomes 0 when s tending to 0. It is clear that average quantities must be introduced since the tetrahedron is finite. Applying the equilibrium equation or equation of motion in Fi plus Fi cap included the inertia term. One more term here is included, that is inertia term. Okay. So after using this, you applying equilibrium equation, we get the relation, this one, which we highlighted by blue ink, yellow ink and red ink. Means this having three components by different ink, that is the equation of 2.8. This is very important. Generally it is written directly in the books. How it occur, which is not given in the book. We are trying to solving this in the next page as in the notes form. Now letting the tetrahedron shrink to the point P means average quantity becomes 0. Substituting in the 2.8, we get nothing but sigma E equals to sigma ij and j. Okay, this becomes a vector quantity with the components sigma I with the ni, but the components are sigma ji. They are called stress tensor. Okay, this equation related the stress vector sigma I at P corresponding to the direction of Ni, the stress component sigma ij at P. Okay, this is a very important relation. How it is obtained and what is the mechanics behind this, we are consider in our next chapter. Before this, next page. Before this, this is a relation of stress vector with the stress component, which are very useful. Some numerical question also we try to solve by this relation. The normal component and of the stress vector sigma I acting on the surface. Normal component means sigma ij should be change sigma ii, therefore nin nj becomes. Okay, normal components are sigma I ni. In the ni direction, sigma I multiplication with sigma I and ni, and substitute the value of sigma I is nothing but sigma ji, ni, nj, which we see later in our next pages. Yeah, this is the notes how we get the equation. What we are doing, first part of blue ink of the equation 2.8 is nothing but body force of P1, P2, P3 including inertia term. Second part of yellow ink is denoted by force on P1, P2, P3 due to P2, P3 surface. Similarly, plus force on P1, P2, P3 due to P1, P3 surface, and finally plus force on P1, P2, P3 on P1, P2 surfaces. Means all three sloping faces in a tetrahedron force due to P1, P2, P3 on the surfaces. And last by red ink is nothing but surface forces of P1, P2, P3. Substituting these value, inertia term with inertia term, density into force into area. So density is rho plus rho cap in the first bracket, and forces are body force multiply with this Fi plus Fi cap and area is nothing but 1 by 3 AH of the tetrahedron. So this is in the first part of blue ink. Second part of the blue ink is solved in downward, and third is nothing but surface force. What is surface force? We are seeing in the earlier lecture sigma I ds, and sigma I ds, sigma I taken out, only integral of ds, that is a. So it becomes sigma I plus sigma I cap into a area. So we are taking the forces due to slope side. Only we consider by three different. We are consider first force on P1, P2, P3 due to P, P2, P3 is nothing but stress of P1, P, P2, P3 into area of P, P2, P3. Stress of P, P2, P3, in place of area we can write projection on P1, P2, P3 on the P, P2, P3 surface. So stress already we know sigma 1i plus sigma 1i cap into projection of these surfaces is uh, projection on P1, P2, P3 on P, P2, P3 surfaces. Because we are taking in positive direction, so projection is in the negative direction, so it becomes minus AN1. Okay, so this is the first part of the projection when P, P2, P3 is considered. Similarly, we can solve all the three part, and substituting this, we get equation 2.8 by this method, which is not given in the book. So you can understand how we get these equation. By putting these equation, we get the relation between stress vector and stress component. So finally, for the normal component, we already seen normal component is nothing but sigma I ni, and we know that sigma I is nothing but sigma ij ni multiply with nj. So this is a normal components if we require sigma ij ni nj. Okay, this is a normal component. So we get normal component, shearing component, and how we apply this into the numericals. Here we consider a numerical. In a continuum medium, the component of stresses are given. Component of stresses are sigma ij. Sigma ij is given by the 3 order 3 matrix. Okay. By comparing this with sigma 1 1, sigma 1 2, sigma 1 3 equalized form, we get the values of this. What is the question? Where a, b, c are constant, find the stress vector sigma I. You have to given stress component, and you have to ask to solve stress vector sigma I at the point yi equals to 1 2 3. 1 2 3 now consider as a point P, and that point we need the stress vector acting on the plane y1 plus y2 plus y3 is equal to 6. Compare this plane to ax plus by plus cz is equal to d. Here a1, a2, a3 are 1. Choose the normal ni such that ni is n1 is positive. What we know by the earlier classes, if ax plus by plus cz plus d equals to 0 be a plane, then the direction components are a upon under root a square plus b square plus c square. Similarly, b upon under root of a square plus b square plus c square, c upon a square plus b square plus c square in under root. These are the component. So what is the value of a, b, c are there? 1 1 1. So the direction numbers are 1 1 1, and the unit normal vector is nothing but 1 upon under root 1 square plus 1 square plus 1 square. So that becomes 1 by root 3, 1 by root 3, 1 by root 3 are the unit normal vector. So we get di and ni. Okay, first phase by this, using this for handwritten by blue ink formula. Okay, and we know sigma I is nothing but sigma ij or ji nj. So what is this? sigma E I is equal to sigma Ji Nj, and by opening given the value of Ij 1 2 3, we have three components sigma 1 sigma 2 sigma 3, three vector along y1 y2 y3. Okay, so it becomes sigma 1 1 n1 sigma 2 1 n1 sigma 3 1 n1 first sigma 1. Sigma 2 is nothing but sigma 1 2 n1 sigma 2 2 n2 and sigma 2 3 n3. Sigma 3 is nothing but sigma 1 3 n1 2 3 n2 and 3 3 n3. Okay, so putting we have all values of sigma ij, and we have n1 n2 n3 all are equal to 1 by root 3. So putting common 1 by root 3 and putting the other value of sigma ij. Now putting we require the sigma I at y equals to 1 2 3. So putting y1 y2 y3 by 1 2 3, we get sigma I is nothing but a plus 2b by root 3, a plus c by root 3, and a plus 2b plus c by root 3 are the component or an stress vector. So by giving, we have to give in stress component, we find the stress vector. Okay, and we also vice versa can calculate. If we are given sigma I, then we get component sigma ij. So for today we are stopping at here. You have to revise this derivation of stress vector and stress component. In the next lecture, we are trying to solve force and moment equation of equilibrium. Thank you.